And if you want to, you could introduce Ujjayi breath or breathing with sound. Sounds a bit like ocean's breath, or it's called ocean's breath. And because we're talking about root, earth and grounding, we're going to talk a little bit about root lock or mula bandha. So bandhas are internal locks in the body that allow you to hold on to the prana or pranic energy that's generated through your practice. So yoga is a mix of the physical body and the subtle body, so the energetic systems. And Mula Bandha is a really good lock to engage. It helps protect your core, your lower back, and your center of gravity. That's the physical. But the subtle energy means that it holds on. You don't lose energy falling out of your body at the bottom. So it's a gentle clench and lift at the root. It's obviously something I can't show you. It's quite personal. So you're just taking a slight engagement here. Means when you breathe in now, you might feel below the belly button pulling in slightly, so the breath doesn't expand into the belly as much. It's driven into the diaphragm, which sits a little higher, below the rib cage. And just working into your rhythm, your breath. And just keep that rhythm of breath going as you open your eyes, stretching your arms out nice and wide. Turn the palms so that they face up towards the sky, trying to turn into the shoulder. And as you breathe out, taking the hands up, squeeze the palms together. Breathing in, taking them down. Keeping them nice and active, not all the way down, so reaching them out, so down in line with your shoulders, sorry. Breathing out, reaching up. Almost pulling, when you breathe in, you pull the energy apart. As you breathe out, you're squeezing it together, but keeping the reach up towards the sky, creating length. Breathing in. Two more. Just noticing the difference, if you're able to have the arms completely straight, or do you need to bend at the elbows or create space in the back of the body. Last one. And then this time, as you breathe out, take the twist to the right, taking the left hand to the right knee and the right hand behind. As you breathe in again, just sit up tall. Don't worry about twisting too much. We're already taking a little bit of a twist. Feeling it maybe in the mid-spine or between the shoulders. Making sure that when you breathe in, the breath comes in, doesn't get narrowed or shortened. Sorry for the hiccups. Then as you breathe in again, reaching the hands up. As you breathe out this time, taking the twist in the opposite direction. And sitting up again, feeling the sit bones rooted. your right hand, or whatever hand it needs to be, doesn't matter which one's on which knee. Breathing in again, taking the hands up. This time as you take the twist, breathing out, maybe looking over that right shoulder, whatever shoulder is behind. Breathing in tall. Breathing out, softening and twisting. So we breathe in to lengthen. We breathe out if we wish to increase the twist. So a bit like the last couple of weeks, we're going to spend a little bit more time in our warm-up. Bringing the attention to the whole of the body. One more, breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in, reaching the hands up. Last time to the opposite side, so really taking that twist as you breathe out. Using the knee to hold yourself. Breathing in nice and tall or lengthened. Looking over that shoulder, taking more of a twist. Making sure we've got our root lock engaged still. It can help with the twist, help to encourage the belly button round. One more, breathing in to lengthen. Breathing out to twist. And then breathing in, reaching the hands up, just loosely reaching them up and then letting them come down onto the lap. We're going to lean back, take the feet out. So we're going to do our normal, not normal, but we're going to do our windshield wipers side to side. So we'll do this quite casually to begin with, just letting the knees fall. They can be as wide or a little bit wider than the hips. I don't know about you, Gareth, but my hips were a little bit, I could definitely feel my hips after last night's class, this morning especially. So moving side to side. And then we're going to hang out here. So lean a little or bring your chest up. So walk your hands a little closer towards your knees. So it's not about how, you don't need to have much space here, but I'm going to let my knees fall to the right as much as they can. I'll move back so you can see me on the camera, so they're falling. My left knee is leaning on my right foot at the moment, but for you it might be further up the body, and that's absolutely fine. Or you could create a little bit of space so that you can take both of the knees down onto the floor possibly. If they'll go, if they won't, don't worry too much. And then we're going to sit up tall, so push into the hands, bringing ourselves up. So we're working into an internal and external rotation at the same time on different legs. And we're going to see if we can take that twist similar to what we did before. So I'm taking my left hand to the right knee. We're sitting in a variation of deer pose. You might feel some pinching. If you do, just soften into the back a little. Otherwise, you're trying to create length through the spine. Soft twist, don't twist too far, because in this position, you can be prone to going a little bit too far if you try and force the twist. Don't worry if you're struggling into the knees or the hips. It's not necessarily going to be easy, but this is what we'll work on for the next couple of weeks as well. There's a couple of seasonal yoga seated postures which are really tough on the knees, hips, and ankles. They're even more difficult to say in Sanskrit. So as you breathe out, just come back to center. Lean into the hands, lifting the knees back up, bringing them back towards center, and then letting them fall to the other side. So I'm quite open in my hip space, so I can allow myself to be quite low to the ground here. But if you have one knee that's higher, you can let it just lean on the other leg, and you can take a softer twist. Don't force both the knees down to the floor. Maybe I should have said that the first side instead of the second, eh? But taking the twist again, so I'm going to take my right hand to the left knee and just holding myself up, feeling the twist, maybe some compression into one side. So for me, into what is which would be your right side of the hip, feels a little bit tighter. And we're just holding here. So seasonal yoga or late summer seated postures, Trianga Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. In fact, I've not even said it right. No, I have Trianga Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana, which is a kind of one leg kneeling bent forward fold. And then Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana, half bound lotus, one leg forward fold. And they're really challenging into the hips. So we're going to do this each week just to work into it. We can come back out, so taking the body back through to center, lifting the knees back up again, leaning into the hands behind. We're going to do a little figure 4 here. So create lots of space between your knees and your chest. So take your legs out in front a little. Going to lift, if you can, take the what is your right ankle to the back of the right knee, and just hold here for a moment. Then start to walk that left foot a little bit closer to the body, just until you feel a little bit of a pull in that right glute. You don't have to, you can lean backwards as much as you need to, walking the leg a little closer. So there's no right or wrong way. Remember, I'm going to be more flexible in some of these areas. You might be naturally, but you might be leaning right back and the foot is quite far from you. But we're working just to give some gentle stress into this area. I guess in doing my yin teacher training this year, I've discovered the kind of joys of yin tissues. And actually, for years, I would have been too scared to do holds like this before we've even warmed up the body. But we're not working the muscles here. We're ultimately working the deeper fascia, joints, ligaments, and bones to try and kind of work into these areas before we work our yang tissues. So just for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Letting that left foot away just a little, enough that you can take the right foot off, swap it over with the opposite, and then again slowly in your own way, I can feel it on that side, lifting or taking the right foot a little closer. It shouldn't be so uncomfortable that you're struggling to hold it. If it is, then walk that leg, that front right foot away further so that you're just resting here. And this is working your ankle, your knee, all the way into the hips. That's where it joins with the pelvis, from the femur to the pelvis. And it's working into the pelvis as well. And just holding again for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Letting the right foot slide out, taking the foot off, and then just give both legs a little bit of a shake. So just tapping into the back of the legs. And we're going to bring ourselves down onto our backs. So we're going to come to a static back press. So the knees can be high. And we're going to do a couple of things here before we work into our shoulders, the same as we have the last couple of weeks. And then we'll bring it to our first vinyasa flow before I run out of time, like I seem to these days. So from your back here, take your hands towards the side of the body, maybe just reaching off the mat, palms pushing down into the floor. Pushing down or becoming aware of the big toe. So really pushing the big toe and all the toes down into the mat. Then the heel of the foot pushes down. Once we feel that, we can maybe then start to curl through the back, lifting the pelvis, squeezing the knees together a little. We're going to bring ourselves up towards bridge. Holding bridge for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lowering down. Holding here just for 3 breaths. And then 3, doing the same again, pushing down through the soles of the feet so you feel it in the toes and the heels evenly. Don't let the knees fall out to the side, so kind of squeeze them towards the center as you push the pelvis up. Your spine will lift off the floor and maybe you'll feel a bit more weight across the top of the shoulders at the back of the body. Engaging root lock or mula bandha. Even as a yoga teacher, I've still to discover how not to clench my bum as I lift myself up into a bridge posture. So you're supposed to have a slight softness in the glutes so that your legs and your inner thighs do more of the work. But the more I try and get my legs to work, the more my bum clenches. So hold here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lowering down. This time squeezing the knees in towards the chest, massaging into the lower back. Then maybe doing a few rotations with the knees, so taking them out in a circle. So feeling almost those 4 different areas of the pelvis. So as you come through the lower spine, you'll be pushing into the sacrum, and then into one side of the pelvis, tailbone, and then into the other. So feel that circular motion moving through all 4 areas: pelvis, sacrum, pelvis, tailbone. Knees coming close and sweeping away. Take it in the opposite direction. And then we're going to reach our feet. Oh, I'm a wee bit tight at the back of my knees. So softly reach the feet up towards the sky, just a little. Push away with the soles of the feet as if you're trying to stand on the roof. Pull the belly button in. If you want a little core activation, lift the head and shoulders off the floor, pulling the belly button in. You could reach your hands or hold on to the back of your thighs, back of your calf muscles, just giving a little bit of a stretch. And as you pull the tummy in, make sure root lock or mula bandha is active. I'm going to do this just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then in your own time, soften into the knees and start to rock onto the spine or roll through the back, just backwards and forwards, moving into the lymphatic system, which needs movement in the body to move liquid about. It doesn't get pumped like the blood, so this is really nice for it. And then when you're ready, just coming to a seat, we're going to do a little bit of core, a little bit of boat pose or navasana. So if you feel when you're doing boat pose that if you let go of the legs, your body kind of comes to this position, which is Ardha Navasana, which is half boat. That can be quite a strain on your lower back and your stomach. So keep hold if you need to when we do this. Keep hold of the back of the legs. Work to hold your chest up and your chin forward. Your feet don't have to come too far off the ground, but we want to find the balance point. And unfortunately, men generally, due to skeletal structure, find Navasana really difficult because we have smaller sit bones and a smaller hip. So we've got a smaller point to balance on. So that's your excuse. You can take it or leave it as to what that means you do with the rest of the practice. But it is slightly more difficult for us to find the balance point. So bring your hands to the back of the knees, kind of in where the knee kind of, the hamstring and the calf muscle would join. And just sit up nice and tall. So have that feeling of sitting up with your chest high. And then if you can, just lifting one leg, then the other, trying to find that balance point. Feet don't need to be high at all. Work at kind of lifting the chest and the chin. And just hold balanced here in a kind of low boat for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you found the balance, maybe you could lift the feet just a little, just a little. Keep holding on to the legs for 5, 4, starts to wobble sometimes. Pull the belly in, lift the chest. 3, 2, and 1. Let the feet come down. Breathing here for just a second. I like to let the knees fall out and just kind of go side to side in my sit bones, just relieving the pressure. Sometimes it depends what sort of floor you're on or how thick your mat is to how comfortable this is. So we're going to go again. We're going to see if we can take it to the second level. So with the feet just a little higher, still pulling in with the core. See if we can hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let go of your hands and take the fingertips to the floor if you wish. So push the fingers into the floor so that your legs are holding more of the weight, but you're still using your hands as a balance. 5, 4, chest up. 3, 2, 1. And then see if maybe you can take, don't worry if you need to stop, or take the hands up for 3, 2, and 1. Let them down. It's fun. Well, it's not funny, but it's funny how I feel that more in the top of my legs sometimes. And that is, we have a giant quad muscle, which is a kind of real energy muscle of our leg, but where it joins into the body, it can become very weak. And that's where yin can work to strengthen that area sometimes as well. Anyway, we're going to come back to cross leg just for this last part. So for the last few weeks, I've been working into the shoulders, and we'll do the same again. I think it's a really important part, especially for men. This is where we seem to hold a lot of tension. We have slight differences in how broad our shoulders are in comparison to women. So sometimes the muscles are longer and can cause more issues, but for some reason, it's just where we get most tight. I think it's possibly where some of our strength is as well. So I won't mirror you. I'll just say we're taking up the left hand because I'm facing away. And I'm going to bring the left hand with the palm facing kind of either to the back of the head, the neck, or maybe squeezing it towards the shoulder blades roughly. I'm going to take the right hand, taking it out, swiveling it so the palm faces away, and bring that just to kind of either the lower back, maybe a little higher. Don't try and reach the fingers together just now. And then pull with the shoulder blades. So try and pull either side of the scapula together towards the middle part of the spine. At the same time, pull with the elbows back away so that you open through the chest, and just see if you can look forwards. Don't look up. Try if you can not to look down, but just looking forwards. Holding here, feeling the opening in the chest, maybe a slight back bend in the middle of the back. For 3, 2, and 1. Taking the lower hand out first, turning it back around, taking it up. Taking the left hand out, turning the palm to face backwards. And then taking them back toward the opposite hand, doing the opposite thing this time. Again, don't try and reach the fingers together unless you find that easy. Even for me, I would have to really stretch. So we want to warm up. So taking your hands to the lower parts of the skull, neck, or in between the shoulders. Feel the shoulder blades pull together, so active across the back. That will stretch into the chest and the collarbone. You might even feel some core activation here, so engaging root lock or mula bandha. Again, holding here, opening with the elbows, using the elbows to pull back, looking forwards for 3, 2, and 1. Taking that left hand out, turning it around in the shoulder, opposite hand up. Interlace the fingers behind. Pull the hands towards the floor, but keep a softness in the elbow. Don't lock out your arms. Keep a little bit of a softness. And again, try and open through the shoulder blades, or pull the shoulder blades together, open with the collarbone at the front. And just look forwards, maybe a little higher. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I will turn around to face you, but we're going to move to all fours. It's amazing when you stare at a white wall for long enough, you actually start to see where it really needs a clean in a couple of spots as well. Anyway, not that you need to know that, but moving to all fours, we're going to very quickly just do some rotation. So take a little bit of weight into the knees and then into the wrists, just taking some circular motions. And then taking them in the opposite direction. So taking them as far as feels comfortable for you. Bringing your attention to the shoulder joint, wrists, knees, hips. Just making sure how you feel in these areas. Or bringing your awareness to them. And then just coming to a stop. Take the hands maybe a little further out in front. Tuck into the toes, so you're tucking or flexing into the feet. We're going to lift ourselves to downward facing dog. So hover the knees off the floor and then slowly lift the hips, straightening into the legs a little, and then walk the dog up onto the ball of one foot, down into the heel of the other. Also, just keep your attention a little bit into the hands and the arms. Let go of any tension in the neck or the head. And we're just going to do this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just bringing ourselves towards downward facing dog. So remember, you can soften in at the knees, so let the knees bend a little. Pull the belly in, push the hips a little higher. This will encourage your back to be a little straighter. Long through the arms, all the way down to the fingers, giving you good foundation. Breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Walk the hands, so rather than the feet, start to bend into the knees and walk your hands back towards your feet for a soft forward fold. Keep a little bit of space between the legs. Take a half lift here. Take yourself up onto your knees, breathing in. Keep it all soft. As you breathe out, fold forwards, hold on to either elbow. Just hang out here. My belly is leaning into my thighs. My knees have got a kind of pronounced bend in them. I'm going to bring the attention to my feet first. So I want to feel my toes and my heels pushing down into the floor. Then maybe I can straighten into my legs a little. Pull the belly button in, allow the head to hang between the biceps. We're going to stay here just for 3, 2, and 1. Letting the hands go slowly, like a rag doll coming to standing. So straightening out through the legs first, then through the spine all the way to the shoulders. Head is the last to move. Coming up, rolling the arms down and back. No rush, take your time. When you're there, just taking a couple of breaths. It's quite nice to sigh out. So we're going to do a few prostrations before we work into our Vinyasa flow. And I'll show you what they are. We work from the back of the mat rather than the front like we would in a sun salutation. So my hands are going to stay by my side. I'm going to breathe in and just lift the head up. As I breathe out, soften into the knees, slowly starting to fold forwards. My knees bend all the way so my hands come to the floor. Breathing in for a really relaxed half lift. Breathing out again, take the hands down, walk down onto your knees, take yourself towards the mat. Flow down onto your belly. Breathing in here for a upward facing dog. So you could, sorry, I should have said you can just follow me for the first one and then we'll join in just so you could see what we're doing, but it's fine. Pushing back into into all fours, tuck into the toes, moving to a downward facing dog. We'll hold here just for 1 breath and then breathing in, coming back down onto all fours. Coming back down onto your belly. Slowly pushing yourself back towards all fours, tucking into the toes, coming towards that half lift. Breathing out, folding forwards. Ragdolling all the way to the top. So the nice thing about the prostrations is you can add in what feels good to you. There's no right or wrong to do this. So we'll go through the next couple together, and then I'm just going to let you move as you wish. So do what feels good to you. So to begin with, we're going to breathe in, letting the head fall back. As we breathe out, soften into the knees, let the belly pull in a little, fold forwards, down to the ground. Fingers can, or if they reach the floor, that's great. Breathing in for a half lift. Breathing out, folding forward, softening into the knees, walking the hands towards the top of the mat, maybe coming down onto the knees. Breathing here. Then breathing out as you let the belly drop, reach away with the toes. Breathing in for a half lift. Not half lift, an upward lift. Breathing out, pushing back to all fours, tuck into the toes, lift yourself to downwards facing dog. Breathing here. And then breathing in, coming back to all fours, leaning forwards, coming down to the mat, upward facing dog. Breathing out, all fours. This time tuck the toes as you walk the hands back towards the body. Coming to that half lift first. Folding forwards. And then all the way to standing. We'll do 1 more together. Breathing in, head goes back. Breathing out, slowly folding, curling down to the ground. Taking a half lift, breathing in. As you breathe out this time, start to walk the hands further down the mat so you come down onto your knees. Breathing in here, then breathing out again, lower the belly down. Upward facing dog as you breathe in. Breathing out, push back towards all fours, tuck into the toes, downward facing dog. Breathing here. Then as you breathe in again, you kind of ripple forward down onto the knees, taking yourself back towards the floor. Breathing in, upward facing dog. Breathing out, moving through all fours. As you tuck the toes this time, you start to walk the hands back as you lift into that forward fold. Breathing in for a half lift. Breathing out, folding forwards. Breathing in, rising up. Let the shoulders fall back. We'll do one more. So just, you can follow along with me or you can move as you wish. I'm going to breathe in, looking up, breathing out, curling down. Breathing in, half lift. Breathing out, starting to take the hands down, walking my body out. Maybe if you want it stronger, you can do full planks rather than knees down. Folding to the floor. When I next breathe in, I'm going to come to an upward facing dog. Breathing out, moving towards downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. And then breathing in, rippling down to my knees. Breathing out as the belly comes to the floor. Upward facing dog as you breathe in. Breathing out, moving back, tuck into the toes, start to walk the hands back towards the body also. Come into that forward fold. Breathing in, half lift. Breathing out, fold. And then coming all the way to standing. And then just walking towards the top of your mat. So they're a really nice way of introducing movement into the body, movement and breath. It makes you really conscious of how slow you're moving with every breath. So they're really nice to do at this time of the year to calm the body down and tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming, automatic calming system that you have in the body. That's not a great way to explain it, but rather than being in fight or flight where all your blood rushes to your extremities, tapping into the breath and the parasympathetic nervous system brings all the body back to your internal organs, which helps you relax and calm down. So we're going to go through just one vinyasa, one Surya Namaskar C, so low lunge vinyasa, just working to kind of wake up or just lengthen a little bit more. So breathing in, reach the hands up to mountain pose. As you breathe out, pull the belly button in, folding forwards down to the mat. Soft at the knees if you need to. Breathing in for a half lift. Breathing out, place the hands down onto the mat. Step back with one foot, then the other, high plank. Lowering down as you breathe out through chaturanga. Push into the hands, nice strong upward facing dog. Breathing out, rolling over on the toes to downward facing dog. We're not going to be here for too long. I'm going to start with my left leg. So I'm going to take the left leg out behind and then take a bend in the knee. So it's a kind of scorpion dog. So the left heel comes towards the right glute. Dog peeing on a lamppost or variation of scorpion dog for 3. Works into the hips again, 2. And 1, pulling that left knee through the midline of the body towards the hands. Come down onto that right knee. So we're coming down into Anjaneyasana or low lunge. Maybe taking the right toes flat. Push down into the big left toe and reaching the hands up towards the sky. So we're coming to our low lunge variation. You can be high in the hips or square in the hips, or you can allow the pelvis to drop forward slightly. Don't just, I guess some people just naturally fall and they don't use any leg strength. So that's why we push down into that big front left toe. It allows us to make sure we're still active in this front leg for 3, 2, and 1. As we breathe out, folding forwards, hands back down into the mat. We're going to tuck the right toes, come up off the right knee for Ashwasanchalanasana, runner's lunge. From here, we're going to step the foot back. We're going to take the hips back to downward facing dog. So we're going to miss out our chaturanga. Holding here in downward facing dog, then this time reaching the right foot out behind, three-legged dog. Taking the right heel towards the left glute this time. Peeling the knee backwards, or the right knee back a little. Feeling that opening into the hips a little for 3, 2, I'm saying you feel it a little, you might feel it a lot, and 1. Pulling the right knee in towards the midline of the body, stepping it forward in between the hands. Come down onto the left knee this time, taking the foot flat. Push down into the big right toe, reaching the hands up. Anjaneyasana on the other side, low lunge. Trying to be strong in that front foot again. For 3, 2, and 1. Breathing out, folding over the front foot, tucking into the back toes, coming up off the left knee this time. Step the right foot back to plank. Take the hips high, downward facing dog for 3, 2, and 1. We're going to step or jump both of the feet up towards the hands. So we're coming back to our half lift. So once you're there, breathing in, half lift. Breathing out, folding forwards, Uttasana. And then rising all the way to mountain pose, hands come high. And then just let your hands come down by your side. So we're going to go through a slightly higher, instead of low lunge, we're going to do crescent lunge, which is going to work to bring length to the body. And then we'll open out into a little warrior flow, and we'll do that on both sides. So a kind of traditional Parshvokonasana, or side angle bend, and warrior 2 flow we're going to work into. So breathing in nice and tall, reaching the hands up. Breathing out, pull the belly button in, folding forwards, Uttasana. Half lift. Breathing in, breathing out, step or jump your way back to plank, one foot then the other. Lower down through chaturanga. Press up, push into the hands, reaching up, upward facing dog. Rolling over the toes, downward facing dog for 3, 2, and 1. We're going to take the left leg out behind for three-legged dog, bringing the left heel towards the right glute. Maybe this time kind of feel like you're letting that left foot fall behind you towards the right, just a little bit more. For 3, 2, don't lose your foundation, and 1. Pull the knee back towards the midline, stepping it through in between your hands. This time stay high. So we're in runner's lunge, Ashwasanchalanasana. Push down into both big toes, the foot behind and the foot at the front. And we're going to see if we can push into the foundation, then rise up to crescent lunge. So if you need to, walk the back foot in a little if it's reaching too far away. Push down into that front foot. See if we can rise up to crescent lunge, taking the hands high, working into our foundation. I'm not sure why my voice is getting huskier and huskier as we go through our practice. Holding here. Sometimes I like to drop into the back knee a little and push away with the back heel, just to take my center of gravity down. We're going to hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, we're going to move into warrior 2. So your back leg, let your heel swivel towards the left, or kind of so it points to the left. Your toes point to the right side of the mat. Opening your arms out, sinking into that front knee a little. If you need to, you can adjust, giving yourself a little bit more space in your legs. So we're coming to Virabhadrasana 2. If you can, look towards the front hand, to the middle finger. That's your focal point. We'll hold here for 5. Try and feel equal pressure in your legs. So if you're too far forwards or too far back, one leg works harder than the other. 3, 2, and 1. We're going to reverse the warrior. So taking your back hand onto the back leg, reaching that front hand up to the sky, maybe turning the palm to face you. Reverse warrior, or sometimes known as peaceful warrior, Shanti Virabhadrasana. And we're going to hold here as well for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Taking the hands back towards your warrior 2. I'm going to bend into that front arm. I'm going to take the elbow down towards the knee, reaching the top hand up and over as if I'm sweeping it to point to the top of the mat or the front of the room. If you can, push down into both feet, so really feel rooted and strong. Parshvottanasana, or side angle bend. You can look towards the right. For 3, 2, and 1. Using your leg strength, sweeping the hands back towards warrior 2. We're going to windmill that back hand up and over. We're going to go on to the kind of the ball of the foot, taking it round and down to the floor. From runner's lunge again, we're going to step back to plank. Take the hips high, downward facing dog. Or take the hips back, I should say, downward facing dog for 3, 2, and 1. We're moving to the other foot. So take the right leg out behind for 3-legged dog. Taking the right heel towards the left glute. Again, if the foot feels like it's going to fall to the left, it's going to open into the hip a little more. Almost kind of peeling back with the knee for 3, 2, and 1. Pulling that right knee through the center line of the body, stepping it up in between your hands. Again, we're in runner's lunge here, or Ashwasanchalanasana. So work into the foundation, feel strong in your feet. Walk your back leg a little closer if it's too stretched out. You can do that. Push down into both big toes, then rising up to crescent lunge, taking the hands high. We'll hold here for 5 breaths. I like to sink into the pose a little and then push away with the back heel. And we're going to be here for another 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to move to warrior 2. So we kind of sweep the hands as we allow the back heel to drop. So as the back heel comes down, your toes are facing the left and the heel's facing maybe the right. And your front toes are reaching to the top of the mat. Looking towards the middle finger of that front hand. Maybe sinking into the legs a little, keeping them active, pushing down into the big toe. For 3, 2, and 1. Let's reverse the warrior. Back hand onto the back leg, front arm up towards the sky, maybe turning the palm to face you. Peaceful warrior or reverse warrior, Shanti Virabhadrasana for 5, 4, 3, think lengthening, 2, and 1. Taking the hands back towards your warrior 2. Bending into that front elbow, taking the elbow down towards the knee, reaching the top hand up and over as if it's reaching towards the front. Again, you could look towards the right, almost underneath the arm. Holding here for 3, 2, foundation through the feet. And 1, sweeping the hands up to warrior 2, using your leg strength. From here, we're going to sweep that back hand up and over, taking ourselves down to plank, not to plank, to runner's lunge. Stepping the right foot back to plank, taking the hips high and back to downward facing dog for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathing, coming down onto your knees, so coming back towards tabletop. From tabletop, we're going to come down to a seated position, so you can just take your hips to one side and take your legs out in front. We're going to come to Dandasana, so seated staff pose, or seated staff posture. So it doesn't look like we're doing that much, but you can if you need to. If you need a little bit of encouragement to sit up straight, you could roll your mat up, or you could put a little block or a cushion underneath your bum, or you can take yourself to a wall, but you want your back to be nice and straight. So we want to feel those sit bones rooted. Pull the core in, squeeze the legs together, flex the toes back towards the body so the heels hover off the ground. Really active in your quad muscles, like they're getting pulled back in towards the waist. Taking your hands towards the side of your body where you would push them to lift yourself up, but without lifting yourself up. Push them into the ground. Pull the shoulders away from your ears, long through the crown of the head, like there's a bit of string going from your root all the way to your crown. Looking towards your big toes for 5. Whole body is almost active for this. 4. Your legs might be shaking. 3. It's like you're hovering them off the floor, pulling the belly button in. 2. And 1. Let the legs relax a little. We're going to come to Paschimottanasana, otherwise known as Western Intense Forward Fold. So we're just going to come to a seated forward fold pose. I say just in comparison to its name. So reaching the hands up, nice and tall. Pull the belly button in. Flex the toes back towards you, but not so the heels hover off the floor, just to give you something to aim for. As you breathe out, fold forwards, taking the hands either to the knees, the shin, the ankle, or maybe reaching to wrap your peace fingers around your big toes. If you can't, don't reach too much. We're going to do it twice, so you could reach almost there this time. Breathing in, lengthen through the spine, so long through the spine. Try not to let it curl around. Then as you breathe out, see if you can allow yourself to have some length towards the feet. We want to feel this across the calf muscles, back of the knee, hamstring up towards the glutes. Pulling the stomach in as if to reach the upper body forwards for 3, 2, and 1. Breathing in, head up. Breathing out to release. We're going to go again, reaching the hands up. Pull the core in, active through the legs. As you breathe out, you're trying to fold from your waist, or a feeling of folding. Here, holding wherever you could reach. Breathing in, head up, soften into the shoulders. A bit like our chest coming forward in boat pose. And then breathing out, seeing if we can fold a little further. This time for 5. 4. Doesn't matter how close your head comes to your legs. Think about it reaching towards the bottom of the mat. So your legs are pulling in towards your body. Your upper body's reaching away from the waist. For 2. And 1. Breathing in, head up. Oh, breathing out to relax. Release, not relax. We're not quite there to relax yet. Okay, so we're going to move, stay where you are just now. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So we did a little bit of it first thing today. We're going to come down onto our back. We're going to take the feet up towards the sky. We're going to push our palms down into the ground. And we're going to work just to lift 10 times, maybe just lifting the tailbone. 10, 9. We're going to do that 10 times. Then if you feel like it, what we did last week was to take the legs back and see if we could take them to about here, bend into the knees and take our hands towards our lower back. So our elbows push into the floor. We're long through the forearm. Once you're here, that's when you can then start to take a little bit of height. Or you work your hands a bit further down the back. So the more they come down onto the back, the more your shoulders want to rise up. But before we do that bit, you might want to have some padding. So I like to put a roll in my yoga mat so that my shoulders and my head, well, the head's on the normal bit of the mat, but where my shoulders are, I've got a double or triple layer of the mat, just where it's rolled up. And that can feel really nice when you put a little bit of weight, or if you've got a blanket. But to begin with, we're going to do a little bit of core before we lift off. So we want to get used to that feeling of our stomach pulling in. So we're using core strength to lift our tailbone off the ground. With our legs a little higher, we have to work a little harder. So taking yourself down, reaching the feet up towards the sky. Be soft in the knee. Mine's has got a little bend. Soft in my feet. I'm going to use my hands pushing down into the floor to lift and lower for 1. Lift and lower for 2. And 3. 4. So slower that you come back down, the more control that you've got. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. As you come down this time, hold here for a moment. So when you come into a shoulder stand, don't turn your neck left or right. Keep it looking directly either towards your toes or up towards the ceiling. No matter what I say or do, don't look towards the screen because you could hurt your neck once you take more pressure into your shoulders. You want to just keep your head looking in one direction. So as you work into this, just slowly work to take the body back. Maybe doing a couple more of those. Maybe on that second one, bend into the knees, taking some of the weight of your legs backwards so more of your lower spine lifts off the floor. And then take your hands, your palms, to your lower back, kind of where your lower back meets the bits of the bony bit of your sacrum, so the iliac, I think it's called, at the top of the pelvis. Once you're there, let the pressure, let the weight of your body fall backwards slightly so you feel your elbows push into the mat. Then you might want to straighten, just work to straighten one leg. Engagement of core, root lock pulling in. Maybe you straighten both legs, maybe you don't, maybe you just keep a bend in the knees. If you feel quite confident here, you can let the knees come down towards the face. Walk your hands a little further up your back, so almost feels like you're doing a backwards roll or a roly-poly. Taking the hands further up the back, I should say, towards the ribs. Once you're there again, then maybe straighten one leg, pushing the pressure of your body into the hands. So your elbow and your hands and your arms become a wedge or a shelf, the kind of brackets of a shelf holding you up, taking the legs high. And then you're just working here to find how far up your back can you get with your hands and keeping the legs as straight as you can. Remember, there can be a softness in the knees, engagement in the core. And then when you're ready, you can let the knees come down towards the head, bending here, holding them just above your face so that you can bring your palms back down onto the mat. When your palms are on the mat, you can then slowly start to lower yourself down using your arm strength. Maybe your head lifts up a little. Once they're down, take yourself completely flat, taking the head down onto the mat. So it's a bit like corpse pose or shavasana. But then just start to turn your head to the left and the right. Just slowly, as you breathe, maybe as you breathe out, taking it to one side, breathing in back to center, breathing out to the other side, breathing in back to center, and then to the other side. And then coming back into center. So you have the option, you can try that again. You can go for another go at shoulder stand, or you can take yourself towards shavasana. So giving yourself a little bit of a rest. So this is your practice. This is your time. If your elbows are quite far out, you can try and move them towards the body as well. It sometimes helps with strength. You're just working towards that feeling of creating height. This is where if you engage root lock or the bandhas, the kind of abdominal, you can almost make the legs feel lighter as if they're being lifted by your mid-body. And then when you're ready, slowly lowering back down. And when the body's straight, just taking the head side to side. And then sometimes it's nice to hold a static back press or bring yourself to Shavasana whenever you're ready. And remember, Shavasana is yours. You can move if you wish. You can sit up. You can meditate. You can go to child's pose, fetal. Do whatever your body needs to make yourself feel comfortable for a few minutes of rest or movement. I'll also let you have a little bit of silence. And then just using the sound of my voice, maybe bring yourself out of your Shavasana. Starting to bring the awareness back into the whole of the body. Any movement back into fingers and toes. And then slowly, in your own time, in your own way, introducing movement into the full body. Slowly bringing yourself back towards a seat, a comfortable seat of your choice. And keep your eyes closed if you wish. Just holding on to those last few moments of your practice. And we're going to close our practice in a traditional way, chanting Om, tapping into the energies of the divine, tapping into the energies contained within all of us, that connects all of us. So if you wish to join me, you might wish to take your hand into prayer and bow your head, or just take it towards your heart center. Taking a nice breath into the belly and the lungs. We just allow the vibration to wash over us and bring a close to our practice. So thank you for joining me on your Monday evening. A pleasure as always. So shoulder stand's a really nice way to finish your practice because it's said that it changes the energy in your body by taking yourself to an inversion. So in Ashtanga Yoga, there's a part of the practice which is called the closing postures. And there's a set, I think there's 5 or 6 of them. And they often include inversions and back bends so that they change and you're told no matter how much of the Ashtanga practice you do, you must always do the closing postures to bring close to your practice and change the energy levels in your body. So you notice sometimes in yoga classes that people are given the option to close their practice, and quite a few people always do a shoulder stand, and part of that is because it helps to bring a close to their practice, but it changes how they feel as they finish their practice as well. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll show you a couple of the other variations that you can add on. One of them is called plow, and you might need some props for that, so I'll show you that next week. And then the other one would be Matsyasana, which is fish pose, which is a nice way of bringing the neck and body back into alignment. But thank you for your time tonight. Sorry I'm waffling on. I just thought it would be interesting for you to know that you can add a shoulder stand at the end of any of your classes when you've got the option. And I'll either see you for another class this week, or I will